You're listening to Beyond Insights, your go-to podcast for all things accounting, business, and technology.
From cybersecurity and AI innovations to sustainability and work-life balance, we've got you covered.
We host insightful guests from different backgrounds, industries, and locations all around the world.
From this diversity of thought, we aim to find solutions to some of our most pressing business problems.
Thank you for tuning in. Let's dive right in and go beyond insights. Hi everyone and welcome to Beyond Insights. Today's guest is Graham Shapiro from Myccountant. Graham started Myccountant with the conviction that he wanted to do something different from conventional accounting and that he didn't want to work for a big corporation. He found himself working as a consultant for a lot of small and medium-sized businesses and noticed something significant. These businesses needed a financial manager, but they didn't want to pay for a financial manager, and they also didn't need a full-time financial manager. And so Graham began to offer outsourced financial managing services to these clients. Hi, Graham, and thank you for joining us today. To get us started, would you mind telling us a bit about yourself and your background? What inspired you to become an accountant and what led you to where you are today?
So, back in the day, it was the in-fashion thing to do was to become a CA. There was the business degree that was out there. So I went and I qualified. I mean, this is a while back before tech. This was in the days of dial-up. Exactly. So, I went the CA route, and it just so happened that as we all qualified, that whole global subprime crisis happened, and there wasn't. So I did the normal CA thing. I went to London for a bit.
Oh, okay.
The jobs had all dried up there, so I came back. And after that, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And, you find yourself, the job market was really bad. I found myself in a lot of FM type roles. And, I got to a stage in one where I was in a really toxic place, and I thought, okay, it's time to go. And all my experience was actually in accounting. And my route there was, well, I'm going on my own. I started in consulting. I noticed a lot of small companies, I didn't want to go into another big company. So a lot of small companies were really, they weren't hiring FMs. So I thought, okay, well, maybe there's an angle here. Maybe you can become an outsourced FM, part-time FM.
Yeah.
One of my clients was using Xero.
Okay.
And that was the big game changer because I had to go and learn Xero.
Okay.
And as I delved more and more into Xero and all the tools that were around there, I thought, okay, actually, offering accounting services, that's actually, that's actually the thing to do.
Amazing.
And that was really the journey to Xero and to what we're doing today.
Sure, amazing. From big corporates to helping small businesses, which is amazing. I think my journey ended up a little bit differently, but also big corporate is a very different kettle of fish, I suppose.
Completely.
You say you've moved away from what you describe conventional accounting. I think you've given us a little bit of insight into that already. But can you explain what that means to you and what motivated you to shift? I think you've given us a bit of already, but just a bit more.
So I think when I started to make that shift into the accounting side, the reason why I never wanted to go that route is because of the way that I've always seen that service being done.
Okay.
It was really you go fetch a file from the client, you come back, you do the work, you speak to them once a year when you do the financials, and you don't ask them any questions, they don't ask you any questions, and you're just really there to submit VAT returns.
And compliance, basically.
It's complete compliance. And I mean, that was one of the things that really put me off from doing that. What we really wanted to do was, and why we did it with Xero and why it was a very viable option to go that route, is you had that opportunity to actually, collaborate with a client. You're working on the same system as them. And, in those days, it wasn't the way things were done. There were obviously people who came before me. I didn't invent it. I didn't invent it. But it seemed like a much better way of actually doing accounting and offering a service. And it was a better service. And I think there are a lot of people who still are doing it the old way and it works for them. But I think it's starting to change, and I think the way we're doing it is becoming the norm.
I remember when I was at Varsity, there was an age-old battle between financial and management accounting, because management was like more real-time, if that you can call it that, and financial was old. But I think with tools like Xero, they can kind of merge. You kind of get more up-to-date real-time data, so you don't have to have that once-a-year meeting,
Well, actually, I mean, what Sift has done for us, I mean, now that you mention it, is, people don't have to wait for financial, wait for your management accounts before then. So what we're trying to encourage people to do is go on Sift. We'll show you around, click around. You'll actually find a lot of the answers you're looking for already there, and you don't have to wait for our management report to think about something or answer questions.
Yeah, I think for when I
that wasn't
no, it's not about Sift. It's not about Sift. But yeah, I think it takes it from like when we studied, it was annual, and then we went to monthly, and now it's like daily. So amazing.
On demand.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think it's definitely more purpose driven. And on that, technology is what we're talking about. So it plays a big role in what you do and what you believe. So how has this transformed the way that your practice works and serves clients?
Well, I mean, it plays a major role. I mean, especially that we're a completely remote company. We rely heavily on technology. And there's always, what I have found a lot of the time is whenever you're having some sort of problem, which obviously, there's always difficulties that happen. It might be training, might be knowledge, might be education, but most things that are operational or inefficient can be solved through technology. So there's very few times where I haven't found a tech-driven solution to an issue.
Amazing. I suppose that leads to my next question, is that you've mentioned before that you don't own a printer or even an office. So why is it something that you've chosen to highlight, and why is it so important and symbolizes your approach to how you work?
So it's a white lie. I have a printer, but it's not for me.
Okay.
I have kids at school.
Yeah,
that's what it gets used for.
Makes sense. I think it still counts, and it's not for your business.
Thank you. Yeah. It's actually run out of ink. I haven't used it in about 3 months.
See, there we go. Okay, it counts.
So the thing about a printer is really talking about a paperless environment, and the idea of being. So what people don't actually realize is as soon as something's printed, it's done. It goes in a file, and you can't even share it.
Yeah.
How do you share it? You take a picture of it on your phone and WhatsApp it.
It's digital again.
Exactly.
Why
it becomes
digital.
Yeah. Exactly. So the idea of a printed document is it becomes unshareable, and there's very few documents that are worth saving that is only for one person. So I think the focus in there is also the need to not the need, but the advantage of being paperless. It's also a lot more secure than paper. So if you want to log into your wherever you keep it, it might be a Google Drive, might be OneDrive, wherever it is, might be something else. You can't get in there without passwords, two-factor authentication.
Your phone and this and your mail.
Yeah, exactly, and you can even password protect the actual document. So not only from a security point of view, but just from a collaboration point of view, from an organization point of view, is the idea is a paperless environment is actually a lot more of a beneficial way to keep all your documents.
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I had the security thing is obvious, but I know when I was in audit, it was like you have to have a clean desk environment. Put papers away. But if you never have papers to put away, then it solves a big problem. So, no, that makes a lot of sense, and I can see why other firms should probably adopt something similar. So when you work with small businesses, like you mentioned before, what common issues do your accountant encounter regarding their use or lack of use of technology, and what can they kind of do to overcome those challenges?
So I think what you find with a lot of small businesses is it's mainly a lack of knowledge and a fear of technology.
Okay.
Is not everyone has it. The younger generation definitely don't. But the main thing we encounter is what you'll say is you might be speaking to a prospective new client or even an existing client and say, well, we have this app, we have this one, and this helps do that, this helps do that. And they go, well, I don't want so many apps. It's too many. And it can be very overwhelming for them. So the way we approach it now, I mean, you make the mistake a few times and then you realize actually this approach isn't working. You don't approach it from a point of view and saying, okay, you're in the cloud now. Now you need this, and this. So you take it more from a solution point of view. So what problems are you experiencing? Where are there inefficiencies? Because they don't always understand that there is a tech-driven solution to a problem. I mean, the biggest example we find is there might be 2 or 3 directors, everyone has to sign off an invoice, to get paid. So what do? They might email it and they'll all answer, or it will be on a WhatsApp group. I don't know how people... That's the more fancy way. Otherwise, it's a piece of paper. Everyone has to sign it.
Has to pass around the office.
Yeah. So a common question we would just simply ask them is, how do you approve invoices for payment? And when they you let them talk, and you say, well, we've actually got a solution for this that can solve it, make it a lot more efficient, keeps it digital, makes it easier to share, and a lot more efficient. So I think if you take it from a problem-solving point of view, as opposed to you need the full tech stack.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. I think often as well, it's always listen to the pain point first, because then they realize, I actually do need something, as opposed to, hey, I've got all these great apps for you. I think that's a really good angle for practices to use. What are some of the common areas that these small financial areas, that they struggle with? Obviously, tech is important, but they're trying to run a business at the end of the day.
I think there's 2 sides of it. Is understanding your financials, understanding, and in some cases people actually don't understand how they're making money. Where the money generation is coming from. So you might see, they might take I'm just thinking of one of my clients. Take a web designer, for example. They might love something, a certain thing that they're doing, but it doesn't make money. But they invoiced R1 million, but it cost 900,000 rand. I mean, that's not.
Still some good, but
it's still good, But I mean, just as an example,
got rent expense, and they got
So you don't always understand where what's happening there. And another thing is where they struggle with is the disconnect between regular financial information and cash flow.
Okay, yes.
So that I find is the biggest disconnect.
It's like, I did all this work, but I can't pay my salaries,
Yeah. Or I have cash. Let me go spend it.
You have more expenses coming through that you need to pay.
Exactly. So the 2 sides of it is understanding how your cash flow works, how your business works within a cash cycle, because different businesses have different cash cycles. Are you invoicing up front? Are you on 30-day terms? So things like that really affect the way you need to plan your cash flow. So it's not only about understanding your cash flow, it's also planning your cash flow.
Yes. No, you've got to plan for the future, for sure. And I like what you say about different businesses. I think industries are also different. I have a friend who started as a farmer, and there, your cycle of cash and when you buy things is like very long, so important to understand all those things.
And also, a tree can take 20 years to grow.
Long investment in the beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I think sounds like it's a lot about educating your clients as well, because they don't have all that knowledge and they need that to help make good decisions.
So sometimes I find they actually do have the knowledge, they don't know how to apply it.
Oh, okay.
So they understand that something might be paid later, or they understand they might have to pay something. But sometimes it's connecting the dots. It's the overall picture that they sometimes might miss and not really know how to bring it all together.
Or like, okay, I know I have to pay it later, but how is my bank going to align with that and all my revenue?
And can I actually pay this? My bank's I'm going to go into my overdraft now. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Can I do that?
What's it going to cost me as well? What's your overdraft thing? Okay, cool. So we've got some tech advice and some financial kind of challenges, but overall, what advice would you give someone who's going to start a small business?
The overriding advice is it's not enough to be clever and have a good idea.
Okay, makes sense.
So, it would always happen. Me and my cousin, growing up, we'd always go, what a brilliant idea. I'm sure it will make loads of money. I think we, 4 or 5 ideas a week. I don't think we even spoke about starting one of them, and they were all good ideas. But so I think that the first thing is it does take hard work, and hard work doesn't always mean hours. It's actually hard to figure out how to run a business and make money. And a big piece of advice I would give people is look for people in the industry who are open to, talking to you. What people find, and I've found this specifically in the accounting community, is people are often intimidated to ask people because people will think, why would they answer a question? I'm their competition. In the meantime, they don't know you. They know you exist. You should be honored to be their competition. But people who are in business and are fairly established are really happy to help and answer questions. And the people, and again, I've found that a lot. There's a couple of people I reach out to if I've got a question, a hard thing that I can't figure out. So definitely have that. And look for that.
That network sounds very important.
Yeah.
So I think maybe I'll on that small business thing. What's something that many small business owners may think that is a must-have but isn't?
An office and a printer.
That makes sense. Okay, cool. Because then they have security issues as well that they have to worry about. Okay, cool. So I think maybe moving on from small businesses, you post a lot on LinkedIn. I really enjoy your post, so thank you for that. But you post a lot about New Year's resolutions. So how can businesses implement these resolutions or goals in the new year and make sure that they are attainable?
Yeah. So the one thing before you make your New Year goals, whenever anybody starts a business, you've got an end goal. So you've always got to have that end goal in mind. And if that is still your goal, you've got to think, well, how far away am I from that goal?
Okay.
Never mind that. But maybe I'm 2-3 years away. But now I have to ask myself the question, where do I want my business to be at the end of the year?
Okay.
So what are my goals to get to how I want to be at the end of the year, leading towards that
the
final
big goal. Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of the goals come in saying, well, not giving specific goals, but saying, okay, this is what I want my business. I might not achieve that goal, but I'm on the road to achieving it. I've got to at least be making decisions and to that are in the right direction of achieving those goals.
Makes sense.
And for what then you can come back to and say, well, okay, that's my goal for the end of the year, but I need to pull it back a bit. What am I going to do now?
Yes.
Where am I going to start to achieve that goal? So it might be you might have a 1-year goal, but then you've got to bring it back and say, okay, where do I want to be in the next 3 months? What do I have to have started or begun to start or implemented to get to that's on the road to that goal? And from that, as you start breaking it down, you start to you challenge yourself and really start to implement things and think about things that need to happen and make those changes. And another thing about that is your goals are not going to be achieved overnight.
Yes.
You're probably going to not get that quarterly goal, but as long as you know, and that doesn't matter. Your goals are for you. The goals of nobody's testing you on your goals. No one's judging you on your goals. Exactly. So the main thing is as long as you're moving forward and as long as you're moving towards those goals.
Okay, it makes sense. And I think we often have big aspirations, but as you say, you kind of need steps to get there because it's like, okay, I want to be the CEO of some big listed company.
Yeah.
How do you get there? Well, you probably need to get a job first so you can get some, it's kind of like break it down. Makes a lot of sense. But obviously with New Year's resolutions, we often say we're going to do them, like exercise, and then on day 3 we're not at the gym anymore. So what are some tips that businesses can use to stick to it?
That's fine.
Okay.
That's okay. Most people. The thing is if you miss it, don't give up on it. So it's like that gym thing. You're like, or a diet. No. You're getting used to it. You're getting used to this new thing that you've set for yourself. You're not automatically going to be turned on gym every day, dieting every day. You can have a pizza, you can have a burger. You're allowed carbs. You're allowed carbs. so I think the thing is don't be disheartened if you have setbacks.
Yes, makes sense.
So if you've got those goals and they're real goals, and you get a setback, just don't scrap it. Don't give up on it. Just keep going. Try again. Try again. And again, because there's no judgment, no one's testing you on your goals. You don't have to tell someone, check up on me on Strava that I'm
running. Just don't do Strava.
Yeah, exactly. Just stay on Strava. Stay on Strava and you'll be happy.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Like, that's really good advice. So what resolutions do you think small businesses should be considering?
So it again comes down to what their personal goals are. But for sure, the overriding thing is improvement. Even if you think you're doing something well already, don't look forward. You should always be looking forward and always be looking to get better. But don't forget, the basics.
Okay.
Don't forget that the basics can always be improved. Don't think that you've always got everything waxed. And so when you're looking at your resolutions, look to be better in things you're not great at.
Okay.
And look to improve the things that you are good at. And also things that you are terrible at and are never going to be good at, maybe find someone else who can fill that gap,
like that.
Or maybe move away from it.
I think, that's really good advice. I think often we try to do everything, but then if you're really good at baking cupcakes, rather bake cupcakes and someone else to do your tax or to, give you advice on accounting, because you could probably do it and figure it out, but then you're not making cupcakes, which is what you're great at.
Steakhouses don't sell sushi for a reason.
Good point. Very good point. Yeah, it's like play to your strengths. So on that note, I think a lot of small businesses should have an accountant or someone to advise them. So what if they haven't got in touch with an accountant and they're a bit scared about their finances? You don't actually want to open the bank account in January because December was bad.
Unless you're not getting calls from the bank already.
Yeah, you might be, then you already know. So what is your advice on that for that situation?
So just as an analogy on this, if you're sick, you're going to go to a doctor. And if you go to a good doctor, they're not going to judge you. They're going to try and help you.
Yes, that's true.
So if you're really worried, just get in. No one's going to laugh at you. No one's going to tease you. We've as accountants, we've seen it all before. You'll have somebody, I haven't done my company tax returns for 5 years. No, don't worry, you're not unique. You're not unique. If you're really worried, not doing anything about it is worse than doing something about it.
No, definitely. And I think, as you say, like, we're not going to judge because that's not your job. Your job is to run a good business, and that's why you need somebody like an accountant to help you out with that.
Yeah, and help you with your problems, give you ideas, and you don't have to commit to it. If that person doesn't help you,
if they judge you, move on.
Exactly, move on. There's plenty of accountants in the sea.
Yes, I've been to a few doctors when I'm like, no, you didn't treat me nicely, and I moved on to someone else. So you can do the same. It's your power to choose.
It's your business.
Exactly. So as we start this new year, and they kind of all thinking about what to do as a small business, what are some of the things they should be thinking about for long-term financial health and resilience in the economic landscape?
So I think you need to understand where your business fits in and how your industry, fits in with developments that are going on.
Okay.
I remember about 1.5 years ago, one of my clients, she does content, and she needed to meet me. It was urgent, and she was freaking out about ChatGPT. Oh, wow. She was freaking out, saying the industry is done, my business is done, and it's all over. And just to use that as an example, maybe to answer this question, is if you're good in your industry, don't be afraid of the technological advancements, the industry advancements. Use them to your advantage. So a lot of these things are enablers, and if you're able to see, to be in touch with where the world's moving, And also just back on there is we just think everyone's using AI for everything now.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah, no, 100%.
You know, in the accounting world, not everyone's adopted cloud.
Some people are still, my colleague has a person who still does their books on paper.
Yeah.
They had to audit the books in paper. So there's still people there, they're not using AI.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm saying is just, yeah, so coming back to that is just understand what you're doing, understand what's happening in your industry, and don't ignore things. Don't ignore, things, some things are fad, but certain trends that are happening in the industry, follow people who are experts in the industry, listen to them, take their advice, research it yourself, and make changes if you need to, and at least educate yourself about them.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, don't have blinkers on.
Yeah.
Learn, don't panic, but at least be aware of what's going on in the world.
Like take Blockbuster's the biggest example. They ignored Netflix.
And that didn't go so well.
Exactly.
No, yeah, so definitely be aware, but don't panic. I like that. I like that. So, in closing, do you have any personal or professional resolutions for this year that align with your mission to help small businesses?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, that's our whole goal of the business is to help small businesses. So obviously we always, again, there's certain, coming back to, what we were saying earlier, there's certain things we do well, there's certain things we could be better at.
Okay.
So even the things we do well, we question, say, how can we serve our clients better? How can we do the job that we're doing well better? How can we help more businesses? How can we, so it's generally, you can get an email saying, can you send us a quote? I said, well, I can't send you a quote. And then the conversation always comes, I can have a phone call. Well, let's start with a phone call.
Okay, yeah.
And then the conversation always starts is, where are you struggling? What's going on? Where do you need help? Not, okay, when can we start? This is the fee.
Makes sense. No, you have to understand first. I like that kind of incremental improvement. It's like, look at what you're doing and how can you just improve a little bit everywhere, because that's less overwhelming and also very practical. So, no, that's awesome. So if there's one thing that small business should take away from our conversation today as they set their goals, what would it be?
So I would say the goals are for you. It's a personal choice what your goals are. If it's your business, your business is there to achieve what you wanted to achieve. Success means something very different, means different things for different people.
Makes sense.
You don't have to, and again, you don't have to be the biggest company in the world to be successful. So no one's judging you. As long as you're achieving your goals and the goals are aligned to what you're trying to achieve in your personal life and your business life, then
you're doing great.
Then you're doing great. Yeah. Exactly.
It's about the direction, right?
Exactly.
So, okay, no, I think that's very, very useful. Thank you. We have some rapid fire questions for you. So you just need to give us your quickest answer.
Cool.
First thing you think about. So what's one piece of software besides Sift, obviously, that you can't live without?
Zero.
Okay. I could have known that one from all your posts. What is the best book you've read recently?
The Goldmine Effect.
Okay.
I can't think of the author's name. It's a weird Danish name.
Okay.
I don't mean Danish people are weird.
The name is hard to pronounce.
Very hard to pronounce.
Cool. What's the most valuable lesson you've learned about building a business?
Don't give up.
Okay, that's good. That's good advice. If there's one thing you want listeners to take away from the podcast today, what would that be?
To follow your goals.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I kind of asked that one twice.
Yeah,
that's
I answered it twice.
Cool. But yeah, thank you so much for coming today. I think it's very inspirational for all of our listeners. I hope you are all inspired to go and set those goals, break them down, and to just try. And if you don't achieve them, as long as you're moving in the right direction, we're there. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Insights podcast.
Please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to right now.
And please share with any of your colleagues or friends or family members that you think might benefit from listening to this podcast.
That's all from us. Until next time, see you then.